Hey. So, how y'all doing today? So, you know who it is? Damn, it's been a while since I've actually done a live stream. Oh my God, this is crazy. But yeah, um, so just relaxing. Check it out. So, you know who it is? I'm your host, the Haitian. And today we're gonna be reacting to some videos that I actually found on Twitter. And yeah, there has been a lot of interesting videos on Twitter, and it's nuts. Because a lot of time I will just pick them up, and I will just show them and then try to get my thoughts into it. But when they're like over 5 minutes long, I think it's best for me to actually add them on a live stream, and then afterward I'll just break them apart. So yeah, so without further ado, let's check out the first video that we're gonna react into. Uh, let's see. Hold on a second. I'm a little rusty with this, so you guys gonna have to forgive me and stuff. Why the hell do I look so freaking pretty? What the hell did I? I think I did something with the setting. My face is smooth as hell. Like Jesus. But yeah. Anyway, so let's do this, shall we? Uh, share screen. X. All right, but first off, hold on a second. What the bloody hell did I just do? No. All right, okay, so I am sharing the screen. So now we're gonna check out. Hold on a second. So we are going to. So yeah, all right. So let's check this video out real quick, shall we?
How does boycotting Tesla save democracy?
It takes down a leader of the movement to dismantle democracy,
What movement?
like Elon Musk, who happens to be Canadian raised as well.
Okay, so what's the problem with Elon Musk? What movement is he leading?
I'm sorry if I'm not here to debate with you. Sorry, you can do research on Google.
I know I can do research on Google, but you're protesting. I just wanted to ask what movement is Elon Musk a part of that's not good for democracy? Can I see that sign?
Oh man. All right. See, one thing I noticed, right, about people that one thing I noticed about people that don't really understand what they're fighting for is that they don't really know how to express their ideas as to what they stands for. They're more attracted to slogan, and they try to avoid having a conversation because once they do that, they know that their narrative will fall apart, right? And I think that's the difference. How you could actually tell when someone is, a sheep versus like follow a movement because they are a sheep versus when they follow a movement because they can actually understand, they have an understanding of that movement. They have a greater way of expressing that opinion that they have, even though they might be wrong in that set opinion, but at least they have that set belief system, they have that set of opinion, and they can actually express it. They're not afraid to actually have a conversation. And it's through dialogue you can siphon out what opinion is bullshit and what opinion is actually valid, right? And I think this is where um like you would have people on the left, right? Because at some point you was people on the right, because culture always shifting, right? Culture always shifting. And what tends to happen with culture is that, like, at first you have a counterculture. You have people that are resisting towards the, should I say, the status quo, right? And then when that small resistance, they're looked at as being crazy, being deranged, being conspiracy theories, you heard them all, right? And but over time, as time progresses, because the truth usually takes a while before it actually becomes accepted. So then these same opinion that used to be fringed, right? These opinions now, they start to make more and more sense, right? So if you think about, let's say, the vaccine, like, you start asking questions, like questions that actually make sense. Like, okay, how is that virus, right? You're supposed to have a mask on for that particular virus, but then when you go to a restaurant, And then once you sit down, you have to take the mask off to eat. Does that mean the virus wait for you to stop eating before it can actually attack you? So it's like these type of once you start asking these type of questions that may sound silly or whatnot, and then the argument starts to fall apart. And that's why people who don't, who just blindly follow whatever the narrative, whatever the narrative they tell you to follow, they can't seem to express that opinion, nor they don't even want to admit that they're wrong or they don't know. So what they would do then, they would try to shut down any sort of opposition. And frankly enough, the left, they used to be pretty smart. They used to have like a whole bunch of intellectual within their midst, like Noam Chomsky. You also had like well, even like comedian like Bill Burr, or people that used to somewhat make sense, and they would say some things like, well, you know what, I may not agree with whatever you're saying, but I will reserve your right to say it. I mean, shit, even Bill Maher. And slowly but surely, like, these people are like, they are becoming a fringe minority in their own party, in their own support system. And it's amazing to see the left fall apart. But let's check out to see what these people are doing when it comes to protesting Elon Musk, right? Let's see them make their case.
What does that say? Where is Elon Musk's marbles? What does that mean?
I don't know. Can't you read?
But it's your sign. I'm just asking. I just want to know what it means to you.
What it means is that he's an idiot. That's what it means.
He's an idiot? In what way? What's he doing?
You know what? I don't want to engage with you. Sorry. If you are...
Elon Musk is an idiot. The guy founded like several multi-billion-dollar companies, and he's an idiot, says the woman who probably haven't built shit for her life. In her life, always have to depend for somebody else for her living. Now it's claiming a genius is an idiot. Okay.
Are interested in this topic, please read up about it. It's all over the news, the internet, all kinds of information available to you.
Okay. But you guys are here with the sign, so maybe you know more about it than I do.
I'm not here to explain this to you. I'm here to support this movement.
You're not here to explain it to anyone?
Not to you in particular, no.
You're not here to explain it to her because you can't explain it. You cannot explain anything. You're only there to support whatever they tell you to support. Today they tell you to protest against Elon Musk. So as a good sheep, that's what you're going to do. The next day they'll tell you to protest against this individual or that individual or this cause and that cause. And that's what you're going to do, right? You could put any flag in your bio or, any little freaking symbol and all that stuff. And because that's what sheeps do. They follow whatever they tell them to follow.
Explained it to you and you refuse to accept it. So
well, all you said is Elon doesn't have marbles and that he's an idiot. Do you think he's an idiot for like sending rockets into space and stuff?
Yeah, I do.
Why?
Okay, listen. I'm not here to debate with you. You're not prepared to accept any information, so sorry.
Well, no, I'm asking
Are you guys accredited media or what?
Just independent. What's the problem? What does your sign say? Can I see? Don't buy a swastika. Do you think he's a Nazi?
Yes, he is a Nazi.
What makes
you behaving like that?
But what makes you say that? What's he doing for him to be a Nazi? That's when he did that. He said, "My heart goes out to the American people," when he was talking about freedom.
Yeah. Okay, we've got to.
We're gonna ask you to leave now. You don't have to be here. You're not part of.
Get off our faces. What? What did you call me?
You're fascist.
Fascist? What? What makes me a fascist? What makes me a fascist? That sign makes me a fascist?
Oh my God. Listen, a lot of times these people, all they have is name calling, right? Because like, bro, if every time you get into a discussion, I'm not talking about like someone antagonizing you and stuff like that, right? But I mean, you can argue that this lady filming or with the camera stuff like that were antagonizing the protesters, which I guess it could be a fair statement or a fair point, right? Because to be honest, to be fair, like the lady, asking questions to the protesters, she's not gonna change her mind about her belief system. The same way that these people holding the signs are not gonna change their mind about whatever they believe in, right? And I guess you have to ask, why do people believe what they believe, right? And it all comes down to they don't believe what they believe; they believe the source. They trust the source of wherever they get their information from, right? So, for example, let's say these folks, um, if they, let's say listen to mainstream media, and the mainstream media is feeding them a narrative, right? A lie, or whatever. And most people, regular folks and whatnot, and they have certain belief system that has been built over for a long period of time. And their belief system has been like, well, um, the media has been right, the media can be trusted, and yada yada yada. So then therefore, now when the media tell them something that can be proven false, right? They're not gonna care about doing their own research or asking questions because they have complete trust in the source that's telling them that information. Because to them it's like, well, we're in the same camp. Why would these people lie to me? Right? But they don't realize that they're being used, they are useful idiots. Now you could say the same thing about the right. Be like, well, are these people being useful idiots for the Trump administration? Right? And some of them are. You can argue that, yeah, some of them are just useful idiots for the Trump administration, right? But now, when you're looking at sources, you now have to ask yourself, okay, which of these sources are more credible, right? So, is the media more credible than, let's say, the Trump administration? Let's go down the list. The mainstream media had told me that the the cuff that happened. Can I even like talk about the COVID thing? It's still, I don't know, or is YouTube gonna restrict me? I don't know. The media had told me that like these people, that stuff came from a freaking a wet market, right? And if you ask any questions about it or question the narrative, you automatically label a racist or xenophobic or a conspiracy theorist, right? That was them. Now, the same media also told me that, like, if I take this jab, somehow it's going to stop me from actually get sick, right? Turns out that was a lie. The same media told me that I have to take the jab. Otherwise, people who already took the jab will get sick because of me. So, and then you also, okay, now you take the jab out of it, right? You now have other stuff that have been proven wrong. Let's say the laptop, right? And at every turn, whenever these people get proven wrong, instead of actually coming back to the table and said, okay, we got this wrong, now we need to earn the trust of the people. No, they either double down or they will pretend, they will gaslight you. They will pretend like, no, 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 no. We never said that. Oh no, that wasn't me. I never believed that stuff. And they just like, it's the constant gaslighting to the point where you start losing people's trust. You start losing people's faith. And even regular folks, right? Regular folks looked at it and be like, yo, for 4 years or for 8 years, you've been telling me this guy's the devil, Orange Man bad, Orange Man's this, and Orange Man's that. But then when Orange Man wasn't around, things got worse. And then when things got worse, you are now gaslighting me that things are better. So why should I believe? And then that is the disconnect between those who are fully, fully committed to the lie, because in order for them to having to sit down and look within and question the narrative, then they would feel stupid. And people would rather go to the end of the world or to the end of hell rather than admit that they were duped, rather than admit that they were lied to. So they would hold on to that belief system, or they would finally like shut their eyes. But you know what? Ah, I don't want to talk about politics. I don't want to talk about none of this shit. It doesn't matter to me. Just leave me alone. Which is like, I guess in a way, it's better to take a step back, be like, yo, this is way too much for me. I don't know what to believe anymore. So I'm just gonna take a step back and just watch, versus for you to continue to double down on the lie. And because then that's when you just become delusional. Just like I sometimes, rarely, but I can still see, when, let's say, I'm out, whatever, from very rarely, I will still see someone wearing a mask, still having that fear, or still want to hold on to that lie that has been proven false, like for like a couple years now. And they cannot let go, because to them they were made to believe this so wholeheartedly, and to them to give up on that lie would mean that to give up part of their identity. The lie that they had to you know hold on to, it's like, these three Japanese and this island that even after, like, years or decades, Japan had surrendered, they still were still fighting that war.
Fascist? You're pointing to Elon Musk when he said that his heart goes out to the American people. That's what makes him a Nazi? Oh, you've got his points? You're just pointing? Okay.
1,000 words.
1,000 words?
The picture
Okay.
tells the story.
Okay.
The picture tells the story.
The picture tells the story. But did you see the video?
Thank you for making it happen. Thank you. My heart goes out to you. It is thanks to you.
I gotta admit, right? Hold on. I gotta admit, when that when he did that shit, right, and I've seen it for the first time, like, the fuck, bro, this kid looks so freaking awkward as hell, yo. Like the first thing that popped into my mind wasn't like, oh my god, he's a racist. There's the proof, right? To me, it's like, yeah, I can see why people would say that it's a Nazi salute, right? But the only difference is, like, I will see it, and then I'll give it the benefit of the doubt based on his track record of not being a racist, versus someone who had always wanted him to be a racist. Then it would be like, yes, see, that's the proof, that right there, that's the proof that we needed. And then it would actually, use that and just run with it, right? So it all depends on your preconceived notion of who that person is already. And then you would make that judgment call whether or not, that's the proof of him, doing a Nazi salute, right? Because when on the other side you have, let's say, people saying like, well, that was a Roman salute. And it's like, I didn't know what the hell the Roman salute was, right? So to me, it's just, all I know is this dude's an awkward guy. And then he did some shit, my heart goes out to you, blah, blah, blah. And then it's like, yeah, okay. But do I think he's a racist? I don't think so. Maybe he is. Maybe. Or maybe he was just trolling. Maybe. Who knows? But to me,
You that the future of civilization is assured.
Okay. Where is Elon's marble? Oh, they're getting the occasional honk of support. Maybe these people will not call me names. Let's see. Can I ask you guys about your sign? You don't like Doge? You don't like Musk? Did you know that?
You don't have to be here.
Did you know that Doge is an? Did you know that Doge is an American government establishment and not a Canadian one? What does Doge have to do with?
Yeah, let's walk. We can walk
up and down.
Yeah, let's walk.
You guys don't want to answer any question. You don't want to win anyone over to your movement, to your. I heard 3 honks. I'm not scary. I'm just asking questions. Thank you for the sign. I appreciate it. Don't buy a swastika. Okay, thank you. Don't touch me. So, this is your last chance. You guys don't want to win anyone over to your cause?
Lady, they're not going to try to win you over to their cause, because their cause require for you not to ask a question and just, do what you are told. And anyone who actually asks questions on what they're doing has been kicked out of that, that political or that political mindset or that cultural standing. Which is why you have like Elon Musk was a leftist until he started asking questions. You had he wasn't a leftist; he was a liberal until he started asking questions. You have, shit, Bill Maher. He's next, not Bill Maher. Yeah, Bill Maher is the next on the chopping block. Every time you start asking questions, they will do things, or they will say things to get you in line. And people who actually can think for themselves don't really belong in the left field, right? Sure, you can call yourself independent, like Charlemagne tried to do, right? Charlemagne the God, or a lot of black people that now can't quite call themselves a Republicans, and they're just so disappointed by the Democrat, and they can no longer defend the stance of what the left is today. So yeah, they'll call themselves independent, but will they ever vote Republican? Probably not. So the independent, the independent label that they place on themselves is a way of saying that, well, I can never be a Republican, but I cannot, defend the fact that, like, a man claiming to be a chick, right? Or I cannot defend the basic common sense things, like, that the Democratic Party or the leftists are against, So that's why they be like, okay, well, I'm not with them neither, so I'm an independent. It's like, really, nigga? Okay.
Boycotting Tesla, support democracy, or kill it? Oh, wait, let's see that one. Elbows up against far right climate deniers, and you've got Musk, Trump, Orban. He's not even on the North American continent. Boycott Elon's cash machine. All right. Well, you guys are winning a lot of souls over to your cause. Got it. Thank you. Hey, how come no cars are honking for you? How come no one's honking for you? I thought you guys had a lot of support.
Maybe not.
Oh, there's one. There's one lonely honk. Interesting. Well, enjoy your day. Second lonely honk.
Oh, man.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 protesters. 7 protesters and 3 honks for Takedown Tesla event in where? Langford. In Langford.
All right, so we're gonna leave this here. So this is the end of this video and stuff like that. And yeah, let me know down below what you think of this video. Do you think all right, who do you guys think have a better way of explaining their position? Do you think the leftists have a better way of explaining their position, or do you think the right have a better way of explaining their position? They can actually communicate more with the public. Obviously, I'm a little bit biased in that sense. Right now, as I would say, the right have a better way of expressing their opinion and can actually defend their position more versus the left. whenever someone try to challenge their viewpoint or try to have a discussion or an argument, then they just either call you names, call you an idiot or whatever, or they would just like refuse to talk to you to have that conversation because they can't really explain why they believe what they believe. That's my perspective. But yeah, so hit it down below. Let me know what you think in the comment section. All right. Now, let's check out another video that I've actually come across, right? Because I've just emailed myself some videos and stuff like that so I can do some live stream about it. And yeah, in a second. So let's check out this video real quick. Of all right, let's go. All right, so yeah, let's check out this one real quick. So now we have another protest video of leftists losing their fucking mind, like they on some crazy shit. All right, let's see what this guy had to say.
Talking about, here's what we're gonna do to win. Motherfucker, they're not.
This guy is a fake ass cowboy motherfucker. Where's your 10-gallon fake hat?
All that shit, fuck you, all that bullshit. There's your soundbite, you little weird internet troll.
My sign says, if you want to know how fascism ends, ask Benito Mussolini.
And they hung him, right?
Yep, they hung him by his feet from a lamppost. That's exactly what every fascist deserves. The only good fascist is a dead fascist.
Now, are you calling for that to happen to our president right now?
I believe that the minute that Donald Trump decided to start ignoring judicial orders, he gave up the right to be the rightful president of the United States. He's an enemy of the nation. And yes, I'd like to see him hung by his feet by a lamppost. So I'm kind of sick and tired of all these Democrats running around talking about, here's what we're going to do to win. Motherfucker, they're not going to let you take office.
Yo, why is it the fact that like whenever you disagree with these people, they become very aggressive? Like it's almost like whatever they're spewing is self-projection, right? It's like they are accusing you of the exact thing that they actually are, right? I mean, because we can both argue that like both parties can become violent and whatnot, right? And then the one of the thing that they will point out to is January 6th, right? So for every January 6th, there's like tens of like other violence that spring out, right? Before January 6th, you had the Summer of Love. How many people died during that time, right? How many buildings were set on fire? What was the damage toll? Was like within the billions, right? Versus January 6th, which was orchestrated by some of the alphabet boys, right? So then it's like, if you're comparing the two, I'm sorry, like the difference, like the way I look at it this way, right? It's like I see leftists and right in a way. It's like, when the chick is always threatening violence or always doing shit, like they will start shit, whatever. And the moment you defend yourself from a woman acting up, throwing a fit and all that shit, right? All of a sudden you're the bad guy. Because the fear, right? It's not the fear, like it's, I guess in a way you kind of make sense, because like leftists are, I look at them from a more of a feminine standpoint, right? They act like bitches because they will just start shit, whatever, and in the moment you just like you defend yourself or you slap their ass back, all of a sudden like, oh my god, you're so violent towards me, oh my god, oh no, oh, you're such an evil man, look at you, January 6th. And they're like, but weren't you like burning down cities all summer long? He's like, that's false claim. No, we were just protecting the right of minorities. I had no choice but to defend myself. Like, you, dude, when a chick act up, the first thing they said, like, you made me do it. You gaslit me into, I was just, it's like, bro, you, it, that's the thing. Like, look at this guy, right? Say claiming that, yeah, you know what, because I don't agree with this current president, I don't agree with the Orange Man, so then therefore, yeah, he should be, quote unquote, hung or treated like it's like, bro, are you for real? Yeah, I don't get it, but these people are just nuts, and that's how you get, like, millions of people died during World War I, World War II, and all these fascist or communist uprising and stuff. It's because of people like him, sheep like him, that's willing to actually go towards violence. First, they start off with um, stopping you from speaking, and then they just like go for it, like some crazy shit. Because in their mind, they're justifying it. They have to dehumanize the people they are attacking in order for them to justify their evil deed, their actions. Wow. Wow. He wants people to sacrifice themselves in order to actually like spark some sort of revolution or some sort of fight, right? Or some sort of chaos and everything. Is you know what? When I was younger, right? When I was like, a teenager, I was in my 20s, right? And of course, we all started off as leftists to a certain degree, right? We believed in government handout. We believe in this whole idea of like, the rich people are evil, or they don't pay their fair share, or whatnot. And during that period of time, one thing that I've noticed about myself was that I always looked at it like I saw myself as a victim, right? I saw myself as in like the opportunities that I'm not having is due to some sort of power that's beyond my control and stuff like that, right? And doing all type of research, blaming the Illuminatis, blaming religion, blaming you name it, right? There's some sort of force that is like outside of my control as to why I can't make it in life while I ain't shit. But as time goes by, right, and then I start taking accountability for myself, I actually became happier, right? I was less angry, I was less resentful, and actually, like, yeah, I can admit that there are certain institutions that make things very difficult for people, right? Just like every other countries, there are institutions or there are certain forces or power that make things very difficult. Sometimes, they are very well organized, right? I'm talking about like, and they have the backing of great people or whatever they got backing them up. But at the end of the day, you're looking at America and you're looking at other countries in the world. If you can't make it here in America, you're a fully able person and you can't make it here in America, then you can't make it anywhere. Because a lot of other places are a lot tougher. And because of that toughness, when these immigrants come over here, then they just hit the ground running because they have that hunger in them. They have that hustle mentality, right? And that's something like I'm still trying to learn. I'm still trying to acquire because I've been in America for too long. And sometimes I kind of overlook some of these opportunities because I'm more comfortable now, right? But someone with hunger, that actually just, they can see all these opportunities that, we take for granted. Whew, they will, again, like, run for it. But these people, because of their lack of, you know, because they're too comfortable, because they don't really know what struggle is. So they're looking for that purpose, right? And they just try to tie themselves into something, greater than themselves. But the problem is the whatever the cause that they're fighting for is faulty. It's faulty because that road that that utopia they're fighting for always lead down to the same path that they claim that they are against.
Trump, are you calling for his death?
I am. Yes, I believe it's time that the people straight cut his fucking head off.
Jeff Hunt, 710 KNUS. Did the sun rise today in Colorado? Then there must be another leftist protest in this time.
Whoa.
She wow, she really said that. She really, I don't know, whatever the hell that pronoun was. She, whew. And these are the people that you're supposed to support. I'm sorry, this is evil. This is demonic, right? Like, when Sleepy Joe was in office, yeah, people make fun of him. But I can't really think of too many right, like people on the right side of the aisle was actually claiming, want him to die or want him to, they want harm to come against them. Because, like, dude, it's yeah, that's why I can't, as a Haitian, right? So I'm Haitian, and obviously most of my families, like, you're supposed to be a Democrat. Because Republicans, ooh, they're evil, ooh, they're racist, ooh, all that other crap, right? And it gets to this point where they now have to shut their eyes over everything that's going on, because deep down they know the people that they are supporting, are doing evil stuff, right? Because like most of my family, they are like, they're conservatives, Christians. They don't believe in abortions. They're not gonna be aborting their kids. They have family values and all that stuff, right? They believe in certain gender roles, men and women and all that stuff. They're very, like, the type of things that they are for. The people they support contradict that belief system. They hate that. They would hate whatever the hell my family stands for, right? Which is like, stronger family, the love of God, and so on and so forth. But because of because of their, should I say, a level of, I don't want to say brainwashing, right? Because I kind of, part of me understand why, my family support, let's say, the Democratic Party, right? Because for a very long time before Trump came in, the Republicans wasn't doing a great job at actually attracting minority groups, at attracting immigrant groups and stuff like that, right? To actually be part of their umbrella, their coalition, right? Because the whole thing was, the whole stereotype was the two-party system was, if you're a Republican, then it's your job to keep the rednecks and to keep the rednecks in charge. I mean, not in charge, to keep the rednecks in line, right? So you pretend to you pretend to fight for the cause of, let's say, rural America, right? The rednecks or whatever, the working class rednecks, right? And then the middle class. And the Democrats, they had the urban votes and they have like all the minority coalitions. And in these parties, even though for the most part they vote for the same bullshit, but at least no one was actually try to come over the other person's, I guess, block, right? And then whenever the Republicans like they step out of line, as soon as the Democrat call them a racist, they back up. They're like, "Oh, all right, my bad. I'm not gonna try to step on your territory," right? But when this dude came into office, right, or came into the scene, and he was not going by the conventional rules of like you're not supposed to try to attract, minority voters. So then all of a sudden, that's why the attack was so immense about him being racist, him being sexist, him being this, him being that. Because to him, he's trying to do things that actually would get everybody in there, in his corner because whatever he's doing, it was like common sense shit. Even though he did a horrible job at explaining it, right? The way I would see Orange Man, right? It's more like this. Let's say you see I don't know, a fat chick that's a fat chick that's trying to do something that like she has no business doing, right? It's like, and then he would say something like, "Look at this fat bitch trying to run the marathon. What is wrong with her?" Right? And they like, "I don't know. You're not supposed to say that. That's rude, man. I mean, you're right. I'm thinking it, but still, you're not supposed to say that. You fucking asshole, right?" But then he will not apologize. Like, well, it's true. Like, you telling me like these 500-pound chick has any business trying to run the marathon? Shouldn't she try to, So it's like he would just double down. And shut up, bro. Like, you try to win an election or what? It's like, I don't care. I don't care. That's Donald Trump. That's the Orange Man. And like, is he an asshole? Yes, he is an asshole, definitely. But he's honest about his belief system, right? Like when he does something, he's because he truly believes what he's doing is the right thing, right? Do I agree with him 100%? Hell no. Right? Do I think he's right? No. There's a lot of things that he does, nah. But still, like, it's easier to deal with someone that's actually like who's actually tried to do the right thing, and even though he may be wrong sometimes, versus dealing with someone that is just like their agenda is just evil, but they try to mask it as doing something good. They try to mask it as being good people, but deep down they're just like evil to the core. I think just like Elon once said, right? He's like doing, like he cared more about doing good rather than pretending to be doing the right thing. And I think that's the difference between when you pretend to care about, let's say, minority communities, but then every minority communities are run to the ground, and you've been running these minority communities for like decades now. And it's like, what's your excuse? Why is it like all these places are fucked? Right? And then we're supposed to keep voting for you over and over and over again when you have no intention of actually keeping none of your promises. Versus this guy coming through, and all of a sudden it's like all the things that he said he was gonna do, he just started doing it on day one. Who am I supposed to believe? Who am I supposed to have more faith in? You who've been broken your promises for like decades, or the guy who's like, you know what? I'm gonna build a wall. It's gonna be one big shiny wall, and I'm gonna protect this country from all these immigrants. And then he actually set about to start doing this shit. I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to go with the guy that's actually telling me exactly what he's gonna do and set about to do it. But yeah, so let's continue with this. Let's continue with this real quick to see all this crazy shit.
teaming up with all the Colorado pothead progressives. It's going to be a wild night, and we're bringing it all to you right here. The Denver Communists are back. Tell me what your shirt is all about.
Yeah, so it says, "But Daddy, I love him," and it's a picture of Luigi Mangione.
And he's the guy that shot the executive for the healthcare company, right?
Yeah, the CEO of the healthcare company. So yeah, I just think he's like a guy that's kind of bringing people together. Like all the classes need to like get together against the CEOs of the country.
Listen, so yeah, we all know who Luigi was, right? It's the guy that, you know, this healthcare CEO and stuff like that. And the funny thing is, right, is like a small part of me sympathize with Luigi, right? But as time goes on, I care less and less about what the hell he was trying to accomplish. Because one, the story was sensationalized, and two, there's a level of dislike towards healthcare CEOs because their whole premise is based on not keeping their promises that they've actually made towards their own clients, right? Because to them, it's not about healthcare; it's like sick care. You know, they try to basically screw you over whenever you need to go to the hospital and all that stuff. So it's like they try to deny your claim because that's their way of saving money. To the point where people are like, yo, why am I paying my insurance, my health insurance for when I can't even use it? You know, when something crazy happened, then I'm asked out. You might even drop me and stuff. So that's why, you know, Luigi had gained a lot of sympathy and stuff like that, because to them, they're looking at it like, oh, fuck you. You know, we're just a number to you. So, and this guy, you know, pop one of the CEOs off and all that stuff. So it's like, oh, okay. So, yeah.
I don't know.
Of healthcare and other CEOs, but he committed murder. Doesn't that give you any pause?
So does the CEO every day that's denying healthcare to all these people. So one person against millions of people. So
you wouldn't necessarily call for violence, would you? Are you supporting violence?
I think there's
yeah, you are. Ain't no denying it. Yeah, you are.
the people in power, that's all they're going to listen to at this point. I feel like we've done the rallies, we've done all these things, and they don't listen. And that was something that finally got people to listen. So I personally don't. But if that's what we need to do for people to listen, then that's what we need to do.
I hate cowards. Right? There's a lot of these people, what they do, right, is like, because they lack the courage of doing the violence themselves, right? So then what they would do, they would try to entice the deranged individual to do the violence that they wish they had the balls to do. And then because they are afraid of the consequences that comes with that, so then they will just spew out all these rhetoric, stuff like that, right? And then hoping someone is dumb enough, deranged enough to really believe that rhetoric and to go out into them streets and actually create chaos and, you know, hurt other individual in the name of whatever. I mean, look at what they're doing to all these Tesla cars, where it's like, you know, you just telling people to go do stupid shit, and then they're actually going out and do stupid shit, thinking that like they're doing it for a good cause, right? And it's sick.
So this is the Bernie Sanders AOC rally here at Civic Center Park, starting to fill up. There's a wall protecting this rally. Look at this wall. And you got to go through metal detectors. So they want to keep some people out. That's kind of interesting. Here's the wall built around the Bernie Sanders AOC rally.
The intimidation of judges right now for making decisions that Trump does not like. And he and Musk are weaponizing our democracy.
And did you feel the same way when they threatened like Alito and Kavanaugh and the rest of the folks?
I don't know what you're talking about.
This picture right here happened under Biden.
So what's your suggestion?
Look like I'm Trump, but I swear my suggestion, is telling them to stop funding Israel.
So tell me what your shirt says.
Says abortion is healthcare. So
Help me understand what you mean by abortion is healthcare, because it seems to be the death of a child, doesn't it?
No, I'm a nurse.
When does life begin?
I think life begins more so when a baby can actually survive in the NICU, which, I mean, for the most part, usually isn't until at least like 22, 23 weeks. Before that, I mean, I'm all for having like a restriction at a certain time because, I mean, in some states, it's, you know, somebody's who less than 10 weeks pregnant can't get an abortion. At that point, some women don't even know you're pregnant.
So is there a moment then that abortion doesn't become healthcare?
I mean, I think if a baby is like fully developed, like it, first of all, if the baby is going to survive.
You know what they do?
All right. Let's address this whole abortion thing, right? And most people are more in the middle when it comes to abortion. Like, all right, you know what? First trimester, second trimester, you're pushing it, but all right. So I would say like 70% of Americans are into like, all right, a good, let's say 13 weeks, 13 to 16 weeks, right? For abortion. But the thing is like a lot of these folks, right? Not a lot of these folks, the more extreme, they are advocating up till birth, you know, like they will actually advocate abortions for that. And it gets like so ridiculous because any sort of limitation you want to place towards their evilness, their evil deeds, is met with resistance and met with violence and all that stuff. And then the people who are more, let's say, somewhat moderate, they either have to get kicked out of that, you know, that political aisle, that political cultural aisle, and then, you know, they're politically homeless if they actually even question or even try to, you know, put a stop to it, or they just like go along with it because most folks want to go along to get along. And because of that, then the loudest voice is what you're hearing about when it comes to like, you know, abortions. You know, you should have no limitation towards abortion, blah, blah, blah. But most folks are like, you know what? I mean, it's okay. You could do whatever you want with your, you know, you're killing, I guess, the fetus, but still, you can't just, you know, you gotta have a limit on it. That's my perspective. But unfortunately, you either have the two extreme. You have those who like, you know, that starts within conception, which is like you bust a nut and then the chick is like, oops, I think I missed my period, right? Then the moment the fertilization starts, it's like, okay, that's a life, you can't get rid of it, right? And you don't also have like the other extreme is like, well, you know, it doesn't matter. It could be like 9 months old, the baby about to pop out and all that stuff, right? You know, you have every right to kill that baby if you want to. It's like, bro, what's the middle ground? Where the hell is the freaking middle ground, man? But these people don't care. These people don't care because to them it's like they have this evil way of looking at the world, and I think that like it seems almost anti-human, right? To me, it's like, okay, if I get a chick pregnant, well, hopefully like someone I get along with, right? And you know that person's like, well, I'm gonna get rid of it. I mean, yeah, it will sadden me. It would be like, oh, you know, that's I want to have that kid, but you know, I'm not gonna like, you know, like, oh, you evil baby, blah 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 blah. Yeah, I'm sure it will hurt me, but it's like, all right, whatever. But at the same time, a lot of these people that, you know, would get rid of their, you know, pregnancy and stuff like that, it's like they would be unfit moms anyway, right? So do you really want to have a whole bunch of these little lunatics running around, you know, your future carjacking motherfuckers out there? No. It takes effort to bring a child into this world. It takes a lot of discipline. It takes you for actually being present, you know, for you to actually raise these kids right, the responsibility that come with it. And let's face it, most of these people who wants abortion so bad are not responsible people, right? They would not do a good job at raising their kids, you know? So yeah, let it happen, man. Let it happen. But yeah, all right, let's see what's next.
White and blue.
It's okay. Red, white, and blue.
It's confederated.
There's a.
Illuminati. On the money.
Do you want to get money out of politics?
Do I want to get Elon Musk out of politics? Yeah, the world's richest man, the most influential.
That was not the question. That was not the question. The question was, do you want to get Elon? Do you want to get money out of politics? The reason why he will not answer that question is because he don't want to get money out of politics. He want to keep the billionaires that he likes and get rid of the billionaires that he don't like, right? Because if you would ask for a guy like, okay, well, what about George Soros? He's not elected. So you so of course you want to have guys like George Soros or Mark Cuban, those type of billionaires, right? These are the guys that you would want to have in your thing because they're supporting your cause, whatever the cause that may be. So that's why it's like they're hypocrites. These folks are hypocrites. They will, on the same breath, they will scream about like, no one elected Elon Musk. But they're like, okay, well, a lot of these people making policy decisions, they're not elected neither, these bureaucracies. And we're getting rid of a lot of these bureaucracies. So the people that we elect will be the one making decisions on the things that we want. Because there's a level of accountability there. If you're politicians and you make decisions that we don't like, we can get rid of your ass, by electing somebody else. But the bureaucrats, no one elected them. They're making policy decisions that will never be passed in Congress. Then therefore they become everything become it's bureaucratized. It's not a democracy. It's an oligarchy. It's a bureaucratic nightmare.
In history is now calling the shots.
What has he done that really bothers you?
He's arrogant, drugged up, naive.
60 years.
Oh my God. When you ask these folks, what has he done that you're so bothered by so and so? And because their hatred for that person is not coming from somewhere personal, it's manufactured. So it's very difficult for them to actually explain why they don't like somebody, right? The answer is simple. They don't like that person because they were told not to like that person. That's it. It's simple as that. A lot of these folks doesn't have a mind of their own, right? Yeah, a lot of these folks don't have a mind of their own. They just go wherever whatever they are told to go to. This week they're saying like, okay, put your Ukraine flag on your bio. That's what they're gonna do. Next week, put a Palestinian flag on their bio. That's what they're gonna do. Next week, put a crossed out Tesla on your bio. That's what they're gonna do. These people don't have any sort of thought process where they're thinking for themselves. To them it's all about like, yeah, I'm gonna follow whatever they told me to do. And people like that I'm sorry, that's cultish behavior right there.
USAID, billions of dollars. Do you think it made an impact in the world? Tell me what your sign says.
It's just we're a country in distress. I feel like we're under siege and we're in danger of losing our democracy. We're running under a kakistocracy.
Tell me what
the hell is a kakistocracy? Like, you for real?
What do you think they've done that leads you to believe that our country's in distress?
Just getting rid of the Department of Education, for one. There's hundreds of things that have been done recently.
What about getting rid of the Department of Education concerns you?
Don't we have an obligation to teach our young and build a better, healthier society?
Trump and others would say we've spent $3 trillion on the Department of Education. They don't actually teach anybody. It's more of kind of a bureaucratic institution.
That's his opinion.
School, but it doesn't run any schools. It doesn't pay any teacher salaries. So we spent $3 trillion there, and the grades and the scores of the kids haven't gotten any better.
So throw the baby out with the bathwater?
They want to take it back to the states.
The states already handle education. I mean,
So the states already. So why do we need a federal entity to do that?
there's things that the department does in terms of
like what?
Teacher education and coordinating education.
Juna, $3 trillion over the years.
What do we
question
pay
that.
our football players? I mean, come on.
Oh my God.
But that's not.
I'm sorry. All right. Let's talk about the Department of Education for a minute. Right? It's like, look, I've been through the schools here in America. And from what I've heard, they have gotten a lot worse. All right. And you spent so much money on the Department of Education, but yet most of these kids are coming out, they can't read, the teachers don't care, and that you can't fire them. So then to me, it's like, what's the point of spending a whole lot of money on something that doesn't work and we continue to actually put more money in it? So if there's a way to make it more efficient, what's the problem? Right? And to these people, it's the defense, like, bless her heart, this lady right here, like a lot of people that are in the center, who actually, don't take their time to find out exactly what's going on. They just, they don't have the time to really do their homework, and they get to the age where they don't really care much. They have an old set of belief system, and it takes a lot of time and effort to change your mind, right? Like, I can't picture myself trying to convince my mom that Republicans are not racist. It's too late for that. She's not gonna want to learn the new information as to why, Democrats are racist and they don't always have your best interest at heart, right? And it's like, it's too late. Just like at some point when the Republicans, becomes idiots again, because they will in my lifetime, it will probably take me a while to actually having to recalibrate my brain again, and because I'll be more stubborn and more set in my ways, and I'll be like, well, you know what, when Trump was in office, he done so much thing for black people and for Asian people and all this stuff, so then I refuse to believe that the Republicans are racist now. It must be a lie. The Democrats are the racist ones, right? Because I'll be old and I don't want to find out new information and all that stuff. So I get it. Just like at some point, like, it was almost a religious dogma to think of, not religious dogma. It was almost like religious heresy in most immigrants' family to even think about supporting another party outside of the Democrats. Right? Because to them, they look at the party of the Democrats, the party of Bill Clinton, the party of JFK, the party of, the people who actually give black folks, desegregating, all these Jim Crow law, get rid of it and all that stuff, right? So it's to them, it's like, wow, that's the party that were more for black people and immigrants, right? But as time changes, and it became more and more obvious that these people don't give a damn about black folks. They don't give a damn about minority. They only care about power. And they're using minorities as a way to obtain and maintain power. So, when you try to break it down for the older folks in your life, they're not going to care. They're not going to want to know more about what you have to say because, dude, they are on their way out. That's why, like, when I have conversation about my dad when it comes down to politics and shit like that, and I ask him, I'm like, all right, Dad, do you want me to just listen and I give my opinion, or do you want to actually have a debate about that, right? And for the most part, I just let him be. I'm not gonna argue with my dad about politics, right? I mean, sure, I'm gonna have my opinion. I'm gonna let him know, like, hey, all right, we're gonna agree to disagree, but no, right? But to try to convince him and riled up and all that stuff, for what? My dad on his way out, he's gonna be 80 soon. That's my old man. I love this motherfucker, right? I'm not gonna have like spend the rest of his time left arguing or trying to change his mind about, you know, the Democrats and the Republicans. He sees the way that, like, yo, Trump is racist and that's the way it's gonna be. And like, okay, you know, I disagree with you, but fuck, you could have that opinion. Same thing with my mom. Same thing with a lot of people in my family. I'm not gonna take my time to argue with you over a core belief system that you have, and you too set in your ways to see any difference, right? Because all I know is, like, when the economy is doing good, it's doing good for all of us. I'm happy, right? And when the economy is doing, you know, and when that usually happen, like, you know, like right now, the economy is about to pick up again. It's slowly picking up again. They're just gonna find a way to just give all the credits to the Democrats. Like, no, Trump didn't do anything for the economy. It was Biden's policy that's not kicking off. It's like, how do you argue with that? You can't. Sometimes you just like, all right, you set on your ways. It's cool, right? Because they're not gonna change their mind. And you can have like all the receipts in the world. Like, all right, this is how Trump brings the economy with the tariff, brings more jobs back to the economy and stuff like that. And then more people are working. With more people are working, then they spend more time and all that stuff, blah, blah, blah. Like this lady, when it comes to the Department of Education, she's set in her ways, right? She don't care about like whether or not the states will do a better job handling the education system. She doesn't care that they don't teach, you know, algebra in school anymore. They care more about teaching your kids pronouns and the alphabet group and all that crap. All right. And they, you know, they're here to indoctrinate your kids. The teachers are not there to educate your kids. They are only there to indoctrinate your kids. And she's too old to care. She's just going to repeat whatever the mainstream media tell her to repeat. That's all.
Taxpayer dollars, though, isn't it? Want Danielle Jurinsky out in Aurora?
You know, part of the Three Stooges, they got to get rid of her.
What has she done that you don't like?
What has she done? The harm that Danielle has caused with her verbiage and her scenario about saying that Venezuelan gang members have taken over the city of Aurora and it's not safe.
You don't think there are Venezuelan gangs in Aurora?
There might be one or two, 3 or 4 members, but they're hardworking people.
What about the video of those guys with the long guns going about?
It was hype.
Was it a fake video?
It was 4 or 5 bad. No, it ended up being a true and factual video, but I think
there are gangs
used for hype. I think it was used for hype. Trump is a fucking idiot. Okay,
I think he's trying to
no
free. Don't you think?
Fucking idiot. Okay, he's basically a second grader. All right, if you've listened.
Yo, oh my God. Yo, I love watching people, right, who have not accomplished a tenth of what, let's say, a very accomplished person have done. And to be like, he's an idiot, he's this, he's that. Look, I understand, right, if you're a celebrity and then you made it into Hollywood and stuff like that, right? So you became rich for acting or playing sports or whatever, right? You're an entertainer and that's how you made your money. And therefore, yeah, I can see sometimes like people can describe you as being an idiot. Because yeah, you might be good, you might have certain talent, right? Let's say it was entertain people, right? And that's how you make your money, millions and millions of dollars. right? Which is cool, but it doesn't mean that you have any sort of business acumen, or let's say you have sense or business sense or whatnot, right? But this guy, he made his money in real estate. And, he's a businessman, and he's looking at the country as a business, and he's running it as a business to the point where, like, he can, so the country can be profitable again. But you look at it like, but he's an idiot. Trump's an idiot. Cause like, bro, really, nigga? Like, come on. At some point, you gotta like, you throw that idiot label out there for like, bro. It's okay. It's okay to disagree with someone, but can actually still acknowledge what they had accomplished in life. And
listen to what anything he said, okay, over his entire career. He's literally a primary school mentality.
I don't believe that racists should hold office. So first and foremost, if you have an opinion that your race is better than, or for
that's the case, then Biden wasn't in office. Like, what are you talking about, my dude? Yeah, that's a dude.
some reason has some sort of spiritual or cosmic preference or elevation over another race, that's wrong. And I don't support or believe in you. So right now, the person who is the president does believe that their race is better than, is supreme, whatever.
Donald Trump say white people are supreme?
I have heard Donald Trump support many racist policies.
Oh my God. It's the thing that's interesting about these folks, right, is that like they will say things like this, okay, Donald Trump is a racist. And they'll say, okay, well, what are some of the things that he have done that prove that he's a racist? And then they will bring out the Central Park Five, right, which he wasn't in politics at the time. And he was an influencer, yeah, but he wasn't in politics. And at the time of that letter, he was going by the same information that everybody had, right? Which, these kids, they had admitted to, violating this jogger, blah, 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 the park. And then turns out there was a mishandling in the case. But for some weird reason, the people who actually prosecuted these kids, it's like, because I guess they were Democrats, they don't have nowhere near the amount of hatred, right? And versus a guy that actually had a strong opinion about, like, at the time believed that these kids were actually guilty, right? They'll be like, well, he refused to have black people in his apartments. But he refused to take Section 8 on his apartments, right, or whatever. Like, plenty of people don't like Section 8 folks in their apartment. It's like, because a lot of times Section 8 just did destroy the apartment, blah, 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 so on and so forth. So, okay. Are you saying that all black people are in Section 8? I mean, only black people are in Section 8? There's plenty of people, people that are in Section 8, shit like that, right? But just like you have some landlord don't want to have Section 8 in their apartment. Or what else? Or he hate black people. Okay. I mean, for a guy who actually created opportunity zone that actually, gives, that encourage business people to actually create more jobs in the urban areas. You have also the thing that the release from prison and stuff like that, which a lot of black folks that were locked up for drug possessions by the 94 crime bills, Biden and them, they were able to get out early. The HBCU, all that stuff. It's like, bro, if he's a racist, then he suck at it because he done a lot of shit that benefited black people. And for some weird reason, like, you're not doing a good job at being a racist, mate. You need to do a better job at being a racist. It's, stop doing shit that benefit black people. In my opinion, that's what a racist would do. A racist would make sure that you don't populate by actually putting more abortion clinics in your neighborhood. A racist people would make sure that your child don't get a good education. Racist people would make sure that your dad is not in the house, right? By actually encouraging your parents to not having the need of just, not actually encourage a two-parent household. So then therefore there's an imbalance in the way the kids are raised. So then therefore they become delinquent. That's what racist people would do. The racist people would look down on you or would talk down to you like you're children, like you're 5. That's what a racist person would do. I mean, I don't know. But anyway, so that's my perspective. Let me know down below what you think in the comment section. So do you think Donald Trump is an idiot? Do you think he's a racist? Do you think he's all of these above? And why? So once again, you know how it is. I'm your host, The Haitian. So I'm going to be out of here, guys. So share, like, comment, and subscribe. All right? I'm out of here. Peace.